Hello, guys. How are we all? It's Josh Hassel again, reporting for the Top Bins podcast, the newly named podcast, and we have our channel up and running again. Apologies for the long break that we took, but we're back again now. We're back up and running, and it is the 13th of January 2021. So we're sort of midway through this current Premier League season. Just doing some research as we speak on what's going on in the footballing world. Obviously, we're in the transfer window at the moment, sort of halfway through it. Some big deals, not really major big deals, have happened so far, although we will go through them all in full a bit later on. But first of all, I wanted to talk about the current Premier League. Current Premier League table, how it stands, how teams are doing. And the main talking point when someone mentions the Premier League table at this moment in time is Manchester United being 3 points clear with 17 games played. Now, if you followed this season at all, you'll know that the early parts of the season weren't too kind to Manchester United. They didn't reflect well. Didn't put in very good performances, lost big games by big scorelines, that has to be said. And to tell you the truth, no one could have expected Manchester United to be top of the Premier League table at this point. I mean, they're ahead of Liverpool, who are reigning champions. The two play each other this coming weekend, which will be very interesting. Be a very interesting game to watch and judge. I literally can't call it, because the thing is with United, they haven't been up to scratch at all. Sort of, if you were to analyse their performances before December, I'd say, and then since December, they've really kicked on. And also, it has to be said that a factor of why they are doing so well at the moment is because teams around them have been dropping a lot of points. You take Chelsea, for instance, you take Tottenham, you take Everton and Leicester. I mean, they're doing very well, but you can't say they're the most consistent teams. Southampton, Villa, but yeah, basically, a lot of the other teams have been dropping points in recent weeks, and Manchester United haven't. They've developed a bit of consistency, which is obviously great news for them, and they're kicking on. And now they are looking a real contender for this Premier League title. So, as I say, Manchester United and Liverpool play each other this weekend. 3 points that separate the sides going into it, which will be extremely... it's very interesting. And the game this weekend we played at Anfield. Obviously, no fans still allowed in the stadiums. We're still suffering the consequences of the coronavirus pandemic. Football is still heavily hit by that. Speaking of which, I'll just go on to this quickly, this little topic that I just found here on the BBC Sport website. Should footballers be hugging? Now, it's when VAR was introduced, it's one thing to take away the excitement and the excitement and reaction of the fans when a goal goes in, because everyone had to wait for the video assistant referee to make a call, and the correct call, and it would usually take a couple of minutes. It ruined the excitement, as I say, a little bit in football, because supporters would see a goal go in, they'd halt their celebrations, and they'd have to wait before they properly let loose, so to speak. But so it's a similar thing. Should footballers should they be hugging? Because of the coronavirus pandemic, there are an increasing amount of worries about footballers being close. Obviously, at the moment, the UK is under another lockdown. Football is still carrying on. However, I've been told, well, not told, but I've heard that patience is running very thin. So they have considered the option to postpone the Premier League once again, as they did back in March to June. Back in 2020, so that is a possibility. And with this story that I'm reading now, it looks worryingly possible that it could be postponed again. Should footballers be hugging? That's the main headline of the article there. They've got lots of data and facts about, that it's a danger to players catching the virus, and it's not helping the situation, which is true, which is because, everyone else has to self-isolate and distance, and why shouldn't footballers, I suppose? But then again, if you have football without hugging and celebrating, a goal with your teammates, then that's just going to, I don't know. Personally, I think that's just going to take too much away from it, and it might as well just be postponed if they're going to make that a case, because a player scores a goal, they look around at their teammates, you want to react straight away. They can't fist pump in the air at a load of fans because the fans aren't there, and they can't turn around and hug their teammates. What are they supposed to do? It's just ridiculous. It's necessary, I suppose, because of the pandemic, of course. But in terms of the sport and what it's doing to it, it's just ridiculous. It might as well just be postponed for a while if they're going to ban hugging, and fist bumps and high fives and everything like that. So that's that story, but we'll wait and see what happens with that. So more on the Premier League table. Manchester United lead it by 3 points, as I say. They play Liverpool this weekend, which will be a top of the table clash, literally, and it'll be so interesting. But it's so tight at the top. So Manchester United on 36, Liverpool on 33. Below them, Leicester and Everton currently on 32. Tottenham then on 29. Well, actually no, it's 3 teams on 29. 5th, 6th, and 7th, which are Tottenham, Manchester City, and Southampton. And then, further down, you've got Aston Villa, Chelsea, and West Ham, who are all on 26 points. But you have to say that maybe they're a bit too far now, because United on 36. Liverpool could go level with them if they win. United could push further clear if they win. It's looking unlikely for any of those teams on 26 to make a case, really. So I'd say 7th position upwards. It's pretty tight. In fact, it doesn't look as tight now as it did before. But I'd say the title race this season definitely still isn't over. So it's been an interesting season so far. Teams have had up and down periods, and then they've dropped points, and then they've had bad periods, and a lot of that's happened, and it's caused teams to one week be talked about as title contenders, the next week be talked about as mid-table battlers, and so it's a strange old season. And I'm not talking about just because of the effects of the pandemic. It's a strange season in terms of the football as well. So let's go on to some transfers then. The 8th of January saw quite a significant deal happen. Robert Snodgrass was transferred from West Ham to West Brom. West Brom fairly recently gained the management experience of Sam Allardyce after they had sacked their previous boss, Slaven Bilic. And that signing, Robert Snodgrass, he's a winger, we know that, with a bit of experience. Played for many clubs, West Ham, Leeds, Norwich, just to name a few. He could bring some experience, like I say, to West Brom, and we can see how that goes. And West Ham, they also lost another player in Sebastian Haller. He went to Ajax on a permanent deal for £20.25 million. They'll be quite happy to get rid of him, actually. A lot of West Ham fans didn't really rate Sebastian Haller, and I don't think the whole Premier League did, really. He was sort of a one-hit wonder, really. Scored a couple of goals here and there, but overall, I don't think he'll be too missed. Won't be too missed by the Hammers. Just scrolling up a bit further here. And by the way, please subscribe to the Top Bins podcast and channel, as I say, we're aimed to keep going from now on. I do apologise for that long break that we had from pretty much when the coronavirus pandemic first hit back in March 2020 until now, and we're just in the early stages of 2021, midway through the next season. A couple of interesting loan deals. Charlie Austin has gone back to QPR on loan from West Bromwich Albion. Remember him playing for QPR beforehand. He was a major threat for them when they came up to the Premier League in 2014, and they only stayed the one season, but Charlie Austin was definitely prolific for them that season. Not too much else has happened or been finalised in the transfer market so far. Timothy Fosu-Mensah from Manchester United, the young defender, going to German side Bayern Leverkusen. But yeah, as I say, no major deals have happened as of yet in this January transfer window. We still wait to hear on some deals. I'm sure there will be some big deals before the end of it. Mesut Ozil reportedly going to Turkey, to Fenerbahce from Arsenal. It's an interesting one with Ozil because Mesut Ozil has not featured for Arsenal since March 2020, just before the pandemic hit and postponed football. He's not featured for Arsenal since, so it's a very interesting one. Everyone believes that it's something to do with the board, and it probably is. Probably to do with the backstage events. Something's happened, and as a result, Mesut Ozil has been exiled from the Arsenal team, and now at last seeking a move away instead of just sitting there on the bench and collecting the wages. Well, he's not even on the bench, is he? He's in the stands because he's not even included in the squad. But yeah, he's looking for a move away, and Arsenal would be very happy to see that one cross the line. Yes, so, and I think maybe a few other deals we could see go through before the end of the window. We know Liverpool are struggling because of the amount of injuries they've had this season. Virgil van Dijk has been out since September, I believe. They've had injuries to Fabinho. They've had injuries to Thiago Alcantara, and I think Liverpool, they haven't been at their best because of that reason. They may look to strengthen in the January window. We'll see what happens there. Chelsea, also another team who need to just strengthen. They were considered title contenders back in November, and they've been on a terrible run. They're not considered to be in the Premier League title race anymore. Their main aim is to qualify for the Champions League now, and Frank Lampard was under a lot of pressure. Still in the job at the moment as we speak, but I don't think he's safe by any means, because one bad result, and I feel with the nature of the Chelsea board, that could be his number up. So we never know. So it keeps us on our toes. But there again, that's the update there. That's happened on the. That's happened so far, January 13th, 2021, as I say. Let's just go through the games this weekend for you. So, as I say, we've got Manchester United, Liverpool. That'll be on this Sunday, and that'll be an interesting clash, top of the table clash between them. We've got a few games tonight, actually. So, the coronavirus pandemic is causing a few games to be postponed because, some teams have an outbreak within their squad. One team is Aston Villa, and they've had to postpone their match, which was meant to be happening tonight against Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester City against Brighton, Tottenham against Fulham, also tonight. Then we've got Arsenal, Crystal Palace tomorrow. Moving ahead to the weekend. Right, okay, so let's look at these games. So we've got the early kickoff, which is Wolves against West Brom. Now, West Bromwich Albion is, as I say, under the management now of Sam Allardyce. He's had a bit of a mixed start. I can remember he's had some poor defeats by quite some margins. Leeds actually comes to mind, because I remember West Brom played Leeds not too long ago, conceded 5 at home. So it's a very much on the day kind of thing with that team at the moment. I don't think Sam Allardyce has really implemented his way into the squad just yet. He'll need to start too soon though. But and Wolves are without winning 4, so they're not on the best of runs at the minute either. That's the 12:30 kickoff. Then we've got Leeds against Brighton, West Ham against Burnley, Fulham against Chelsea, and Leicester versus Southampton. Leicester v Southampton catches my eye there. It'll be a good game. Leicester in 3rd, and Southampton in 7th. So that'll be a very interesting game between those two. If Southampton can cause an upset there, which I think they are capable of, well, it wouldn't be an upset. They recently beat Liverpool, actually. So that, they can do very well on their day, Southampton. And Leicester will have it all to do there. The 3 o'clock kickoffs, as I mentioned, Leeds against Brighton, and West Ham against Burnley. It's a difficult one. I think Leeds against Brighton. Leeds very up and down again. They've played some great stuff throughout the season, but it's worked both two ways for them. Sometimes they get thumped, sometimes they win impressively. And against the Brighton side, who are struggling, however, I think they can be difficult to beat, difficult to break down on their day. So it's going to be a difficult one to judge. West Ham Burnley. West Ham Burnley. Well, I think again that's a difficult one to judge. West Ham though should win that one. They'd like to think so because they're higher up in the table. They've done well this season actually. David Moyes has surprised me in his second spell at the club. He's led West Ham to 10th place where they sit in at the moment. Obviously not all over yet. And the Fulham-Chelsea game, that's going to be a very pivotal one for Frank Lampard. They've literally got to win that because with the scrutiny that he's currently under, I don't think he'll survive if Chelsea lose that, personally. Sunday's matches. So we've got Aston Villa against Everton, the early kickoff. That'll be a very good game as well. Two very good sides who have done very well this season. However, Everton will be favourites going into that one as they are currently 4th in the Premier League. Sheffield United against Tottenham. Sheffield United picked up their first win of the season after 17 games, only last night. So they're going into this game on the back of that, be immensely happy. But they need to follow that up with another strong result. But they are up against it. They're playing Mourinho's Tottenham, who can definitely produce a performance. However, they have been slightly sloppy, I guess, in recent weeks. Liverpool, Manchester United, of course, the big one, the big table clash. If Manchester United win that, they go 6 points clear. What a massive gap that would be against last season's champions Liverpool. Honestly, if United go 6 points clear, that'll be, I think it's possible, but at the same time, it's just going to really stun everyone. I mean, who would have thought it? Looking back to the start of the season again, United being 6 points ahead of last season champions, who looked so steady, who looked so consistent, and we could never have seen this coming, but it's a possibility. And then we got Manchester City against Crystal Palace Sunday evening at 7:15. City will be favourites going into that one, definitely. They're a dark horse, though. I wouldn't rule them out of the title race. I'd say the main contenders for the title race this season, Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, don't rule them out. Leicester seem to be, Leicester have done really well. They're currently in third. They're not going away. So, you've got to put them in the mix as well. And Tottenham. But then again, Everton are there as well. Everton, I'd say, out of that bunch, are probably the least consistent. I can see Everton drifting away out of those teams. But yeah, I think the main contenders we have to look out for: United, Liverpool, City, and Tottenham. I think personally, I think Leicester and Everton may have it to do really towards the end, and they may slip away. But we'll see. And then Monday's game, we've got Arsenal against Newcastle, followed by some midweek Premier League games, which I'll get into at a later date, really. But so Monday we've got that one, Arsenal against Newcastle. Newcastle were the team beaten by Sheffield United. They were the team who had to put up with Sheffield United celebrating their first win of the season. So it'll be quite a humiliating result for them, and they'll want to respond after that defeat. But at the same time, Arsenal, they're on a decent run themselves. They're on the up after having a poor, very, very poor run under Mikel Arteta, but he seems to be turning it round at that club. So Arsenal will be favourites going into that one, and they're at home as well. But yes, I will leave it there for now, guys. Thank you for listening, and as I say, be sure to subscribe, please, to the Top Bins football channel and the podcast. And this there'll be another episode out soon. We'll try and get a few of you guys involved. We'll try and get some Manchester United fans telling us their opinion on their club, and not just United fans. Fans of all clubs, as many as we can find. But yes, so I'm Josh Hassel from the Top Bins podcast, signing out. Thank you very much. Bye.